We love rags to riches stories. What is it that we like to hear so much about these kind of stories where people pull themselves and overcome great feats of difficulty in their life for that positive outcome? It gives us hope. It gives us hope that if they can do it, we can do it too. It may not be the same situation that we're in, but it inspires us. It inspires us to find that inner courage within ourselves and make positive changes to our lives. Hope in its purest form will inspire you from the darkest times and take you into the light. Let me tell you a heartwarming story. There was a lady called Joanne. She lived in the UK, and this was the middle of the 1990s. Now, Joanne found herself in a very challenging situation. She was recently divorced. She was a single mother and a struggling writer. She really had nothing other than her idea, love for her daughter, and hope that one day she would be a successful writer. Outside of that, she was as broke as you can be in modern day Britain. Now, you will all know Joanne. You will know who she is, but you will know her from her pen name. For she is J.K. Rowling, the creative brain behind the Harry Potter series and more recently, Fantastic Beasts. Now, if you're still not sure who J.K. Rowling is, even though her picture is behind me, I'm not sure where you have been for the last 20 years. It's just quite a big deal. So thank goodness she found a way to be able to push through that turbulence that she felt. Can you imagine just for a moment what she must have been going through at that point in time? On one hand, she was a mother and she needed to be there and provide for her daughter. But yet on the other hand, she knew that she could be successful as a writer. And aren't we all glad that she found a way to be able to ride that wave? Because she's gone on to impact the lives of both children and adults, igniting imagination. And it's not just her books. There's a theme park. There's movies. Now, what you may not know about J.K. Rowling is that actually she gives millions away to those in need. She earns so much, she doesn't need all of that money, but she knows what hardship feels like. So she's also a philanthropist. She's been able to impact lives way beyond her wildest dreams. It goes beyond imagination. Now, can you imagine for a moment that back in those early days, back in the middle of the 1990s, before she got her first book deal, that she had doubted herself? And I think we can agree that she had a fair amount to doubt herself about. Because this went on for years. This wasn't a few days, a few weeks. This went on for years. Can you imagine if she had doubted herself so much that she just threw in the towel, went and got a proper job? No books, no philanthropy, no movies, no ignition of creativity. What a huge disservice to humanity that would have been. Recognize these characters? The Wizard of Oz. Maybe you have read this story as a child. Maybe you read it to your children. And Dorothy went on a journey with her 3 friends that she met along the way. And they went down the yellow brick road, all in pursuit of something that they felt that they needed because they were incomplete. And they needed this thing externally to complete them in life. The lion was a coward, and he felt he should be brave, so he must find some courage. The Tin Man, he just wanted to feel, he wanted to know what it was like to be human, so he must find a heart. And then you had the Scarecrow. Well, the Scarecrow's head was just full of straw, so he needed a brain. And who was going to give them these wonderful things? Why, the great Wizard of Oz, of course. But when they got to the Emerald City, the wizard wasn't great at all. He was just a regular guy. He was a phony. He couldn't give them these things that they were so desperately seeking. And it was just in that moment where they felt that their world was crumbling down that Dorothy took a moment to reflect, because it takes a woman to spot these kind of things. And she realized that they had been showing these things the whole way. The lion was courageous. The Tin Man had compassion. And the Scarecrow was wise. Often, we miss what is already in us. Everyone in this audience already has everything that they need to go and pursue their dreams, their aspirations. You just got to connect to that courage and that inner strength to go ahead and do that. So what is it that stops people? What is it that stops people from going out there and doing these things? How can we be so certain 1 minute and the next minute we backtrack? I'm very curious about what happens there. And the more that I work with people, the more obvious it seems that we listen too much to this. We rationalize so much with our heads, and we do not listen enough to this, to our heart, what our heart desires. And the more that we use our head to navigate us through life, the less we are listening to what we really want. And we feel unfulfilled, we feel dissatisfied, and we talk ourselves out of the very things that we want. So how can you step away from all of that? How can you truly elevate yourself and rise up to your highest potential? Well, let me share with you 4 simple steps that you can do, which is actually an acronym of RISE, R-I-S-E. So R stands for remember. It's never going to be all bad. There's always going to be some positivity and some achievements that you have made up until this point. No matter how low you feel, no matter how much hope has been lost, always remember how far you've come and what achievements you have made. Every single person in this room wants to be successful, whatever that means to you. We all want to be able to look back at our life and quietly say to ourselves with some pride and some joy, I did it. I did it. So make that promise to yourself that ensures that this happens for you, because it will only stir up positive energy that will help elevate you when you need it the most. I stands for intention. In the middle of the 19th century, there was a conflict going on in the US. There was a conflict between the colonists and the native Indians. The colonists did what colonists do best, and they wanted to take what was not theirs. Now I understand how ironic this is, being a British lady telling you this. But it wasn't me. The native Indians used to take stakes. They used to drive it into the ground and claim that land as theirs. They would tie themselves to that stake with a rope. and they would defend their territory. In their mind, it was a do or die situation. They would rather die before they gave up what was rightfully theirs. We can take a mentality from this because we all have hopes, dreams, aspirations that we want to do in life. So take your stakes and drive them into the ground, because you will be sending an unbelievable message out to the universe that it can only be yours. S, stabilize. The bigger the stake, the more turbulence you are going to feel. When I first stepped out as a speaker, as a coach, there was an unbelievable amount of turbulence that I would feel. What do you know? Other people know more than you. Who's going to listen to you? The whole time that I was listening to this, I was taken away from that very stake that I had driven into the ground. It was distracting, and I needed to find a way around it. Did you know that tall buildings actually move ever so slightly underneath adverse conditions? They're able to do this because when the tsunami comes, when the hurricanes come, there's a whole internal counterbalance system that pulls them back. When they start to fall over and start to crumble, it pulls them back. It gives them strength. And because of this, they can withhold great adversity. We too have our own internal counterbalance system that when we activate it, we can be strong, grounded, and we can withstand great adversity. E, engage. I went to New Zealand and I did a bungee jump. It took me a few hours to get to this location, and I was excited. I was excited about this. And I was strapped by the ankles, and I waddled up to the edge, and I looked down, and my heart just went poof, straight into my stomach. The sheer drop scared me. I started to doubt why I was there. Is this what I wanted? And I knew I wasn't the only one, because I'd watched others come before me. And they waddled back, and they unstrapped themselves, and they walked off. So I had to ask myself in the moment, do I want this? And a very quiet voice said yes. And it was in that moment, I just had to engage immediately, go. Because it was at that moment that my courage outweighed my fear. And if I had stuck around any longer, I would have talked myself out of it. The very thing that I wanted. So there you have it. A 4 simple process that you can apply into your life. So the next time that you are feeling a little bit down, a lack of motivation, a lack of energy, recall the RISE acronym. Remember all of the positive things that have happened so far for you to get where you are. Put your stake in the ground and make your intention like your life depends on it. Stabilize yourself so that you do not get pulled off track from that intention. And lastly, engage immediately before you talk yourself out of the very thing that you want in life. And when you follow these 4 things, you can truly rise up into your highest heights.